Yeah.
We're in an audio medium over here. Alan, I knew Mary was in the building at trivia when I heard her laugh across the bar.
I had a big laugh.
Oh, are you watching some of my videos?
Bill Squire's live on YouTube.
On YouTube?
No, she wasn't.
Oh.
That's probably what you're watching.
Enjoying the company of my hilarious boyfriend.
No, you said on many occasions he's not even funny.
You can't stop talking about how he's not funny.
He had a couple good ones.
You take it very, very personally when he even intimates that when he even whispers that he might have a funny bone in his body. You take that very personally.
Yeah.
I don't know why. There's room for everyone.
Everyone can be funny.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying that.
Well, Brian wants to start a podcast.
Why not?
With who?
With me. And
He can get it right on the iHeartRadio app.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I told him. I was like, baby, you're not that funny. Like, how are we going to do a podcast?
Well, why does he have to be funny for the two of you to do a podcast?
He doesn't. And we wanted to do a hypothetical podcast because that's where we get all of our best
That's like most podcasts anyway.
Right.
Hypothetically, they're going to get a bunch of listeners.
Right.
They quit after 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did a couple dry runs over the last few days.
I mean, Gwen and I have talked for a long time about doing a podcast, but we're just kind of like, well, there's 4 billion of them.
Right.
And 99% of them have 2 listeners. So,
Right.
I
Yeah,
mean,
but you're not going to have 2 listeners.
no, I know that. But it's like, I got no time for the stuff I have to do now.
I also tried to explain to him that it's a commitment. I was like, so if we are having a bad day or you don't feel like it or whatever, you still have to do it. He's like, well, that's not kind of takes the fun out of it. I was like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It can be.
Well,
that's why nobody does them.
Not if you're Poundcake.
You
can do it whenever you want to do it. Yeah, you do it whenever you
true.
want to.
You can make your own rules, I guess.
Yup.
Yeah, pretty much. As long as you announce them and everyone knows the 411. Hey, I'm not feeling like it today, guys. Don't be mad. And then you just log off of everything so you don't hear any backlash.
That's one way.
You don't want to hear from the fans, the people who actually like what you're doing?
I'm going to take a nap and then I'm just going to wake up and just ignore all the notifications.
Wow. All right. Well, unlike your boyfriend, my wife is funnier than I am.
Yes.
She just does it for free. I get paid for it. So, there's a part of me where I'm like, well, I don't want to. I mean, when she sits in, she fills in here, that becomes readily apparent that I'm flagging behind my own wife.
She's quick.
Yes, she is. Nevertheless, Brian doesn't have to be funny for you guys to do a podcast. What would you call it?
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically?
So it would be...
You wouldn't call it he's not funny, but I am?
No, that would be the tagline. No, so it would be... Well, at least this is the idea we came up with, where we would take hypothetical situations and just riff back and forth
fight about them?
And fight about them. Well, and I told him, I said, it has to be entertaining. It can't. People aren't just going to listen to us bicker for an hour a week.
Well, no, it wouldn't be bickering.
Well, and he was like...
There's a lot of people doing podcasts with their significant other.
Yeah.
And they're relatively entertaining to listen to. I mean, Your Mom's House is pretty good, and who else? Who else is doing a podcast with their wife or their husband?
I have no idea.
It's worth listening to.
Who?
I mean, there aren't a
Avril
lot,
Lavigne?
but Avril Lavigne,
I don't
she's
know.
not selling sofas.
Well, I was just basically saying, it can't just be us fighting about... And here's the other thing. I was like, Brian, you're so practical that, to do an hour or even a 45-minute podcast, because if the hypothetical is, what would you do if you won the lottery, and your answer is put it in savings, there's not much to riff off of there.
Not only that,
Listen,
but
it's not the funniest thing, but it's just a good idea.
And that's my whole point.
But this is what I told Poundcake. Editing is always going to be your best friend. You guys know this, right? For writing material or whatever. Editing is always your best friend. I don't know where this notion came from that podcasts have to be an hour long.
They don't. You're right.
They don't. I mean, I think the quicker the better. That's why you see more and more of these hey, my buddy in L.A. does a podcast. It's 15 minutes a day. And it smokes because you're like, hey, anybody can listen to that, right?
Yeah,
on the way to
on a
work.
And that's
walk
the average commute time is about 15, 20 minutes.
I mean, when these things started, when YouTube and video and podcasting all started, they were like, you got to get people fast. The average people's attention spans are getting shorter and shorter, so you got to hook them in the first 5 seconds. So what you had was people trying to hook people in the first 5 seconds all the way to goddamn 4 hours of Joe Rogan riffing about something.
Yeah.
So people's attention spans are either really long. I don't know who the F has 4 hours to listen or watch. I mean, notwithstanding. But again, it's not like we have people who listen to this live all the way through.
And we do.
We do, but I don't,
It's not a ton.
but you can listen how you want, when you want.
And there's a lot of people that go back and, they'll fill in the gaps from the podcast. And I think it also depends on your job. If you drive for a living and you are, a delivery driver, I think it's very common for them to just listen to podcasts, and the longer the better for them.
Plus, for some podcasters, once you get a little bit of heat, you're doing, like Bobby Lee and his wife do a podcast, or his girl, whatever they are. Mm-hmm. But she does 2 other ones because I don't know what she does. She got time. He's on the road or whatever. But you and Brian should do one. Do a 30-minute weekly podcast. He should, and then you get a little bit of heat.
Bank a bunch.
And then.
Bank what?
Episodes.
Bank, like episodes.
Oh, I thought you meant money.
Not
I was
money.
like, no. That's
Episodes.
Episodes. It's podcast terminology.
Sorry, my bad.
And then when you get a little bit of heat, he spins off his own, where it's just garbage collection Q&A.
Well, here's the thing. I think this is starting because this last year, I got my taxes done. I had the best year in comedy that I've ever had. And so he's kind of looking at me like, wait a minute, you're just kind of doing what you love and you're making money at it. And so I think he's kind of trying to find ways to not do his job anymore.
Well, here's
like, maybe we can have a super famous podcast,
Let me throw this at you.
Ready.
The 2 of you do a podcast where you talk about what you're aspiring to and what he's doing. And it's called Waste Management.
Hey.
WAIST.
Oh.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's Mary and Brian's diet/garbage collection podcast.
Do you want to do a test run? I can have you and Brian on my podcast, and I'll just kind of moderate as
You'll throw he and I hypotheticals?
Yeah.
Maybe. That might work.
That could be just to see if he's got the chops. He's always,
Figure out what the middle of that Venn diagram is in between keeping healthy and garbage collection, right? He's like, oh, my God, I see people throwing away all this food. And then you go, oh, that's terrible and wasteful. And guess what? I had a rice cake. I don't know. You guys will work it out.
That's really good. That's really good.
Now stretch that genius into 30 minutes.
Not an hour based off of rice cakes.
Listen, if you want to do an hour on rice cakes, by all means. Then you get a little bit of a scratch from the Quaker people because they're trying to push the rice cakes.
Obviously. Get a little sponsorship.
That's right.
Ching ka-ching.
Al and I drive and listen to you guys all day.
Aww.
All right. Well, thank you. Dustin in Georgia. How dare you, Alan? I listen to your show in all of its entirety. Well, there it is.
It's Dustin.
I took a big old swaller out of it, and I was like, uh-oh.
Now, Dustin...
Trash talk with Brian, somebody said. Now,
there you go.
I'm sticking with waste management, but I mean, trash talk, the more the merrier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mary and Dustin going back and forth. Now, there's the podcast.
Me and Dustin going at it.
Yeah. Mary, it's Dustin. I want to know what, it's called.
I'm a big fan. I just don't know why you think it's okay to put your boyfriend on a podcast when you got a good friend like Dustin.
It's called What Happened to All That Money with Dustin and Mary.
Where's the money, Mary? Paper trail with Dustin and Mary.
That's right. So the return.
It's like the new cereal.
Paper trail.
Trying to figure out this investigation.
Well,
so I mentioned this yesterday, but I'll repeat it. Vicky on the Alan Cox Show Facebook page was like, "Hey, when's the Poundcake podcast coming back?" And he said, "This coming week." Mm-hmm. Is that still true?
Next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
6 days from now.
The return of the Poundcake podcast.
Yeah, me and Fancy did something, and I just have to edit it down.
Now, is this a return to form, or will there be? Is it a week-to-week thing? Or you don't know. Maybe another extended hiatus.
I'm going to try and this is the comeback, and I'm going to try and do it every.
Don't call it a comeback.
Wednesday. Don't call it a comeback.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, LL Cool J. Ladies love Cool James. That's right. Okay, good. Well, then there you go.
Well, the other one I thought of, other than hypotheticals, would be a horror movie podcast.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
But
horror movie or
yes.
horror
No,
movie?
you heard it right.
Horror
first
movie.
Horror
time.
movie.
Right,
I'm like,
gotcha.
hey, I actually am qualified for this one.
No, but we looked it up.
Frankenhooker.
There are 25,000 podcasts about horror movies.
There
Like
are 25,000 podcasts about everything. Everybody thinks they found a niche. That's why these podcasts that they're always promoting are so obscure. And we go into the 1972 case of a farmer who ate all of his chickens. Okay, cool. You know, they're like, everybody
Turns out he
now.
was just a regular farmer, and that he got carried away one day. It's not that big of a
but
story.
not all of them were chickens. Some of them.
We're wolves.
We're ducks.
Yeah, we're ducks. Check us out now on Cluck Cluck Goose.
That's right. Chicken wolves. Wherever you get your podcasts.
Why did the chicken cross the road? To get away from the farmer.
Maybe British Alan can get us hip to this, but it always it's like a drill in my ear when I hear, some of these podcast promos, because you cannot, and I know that there are innumerable variations on British accents, but you will never convince me that any British person pronounces podcast as podcast.
Podcast.
Podcast. You'll
Our new
never convince me
podcast.
that that's true. I think that's all part of that. Things sound more serious when a British person is saying them, but you'll never convince me that podcast is a way that anyone pronounces that word over there. Now, I would like Poundcake to start doing that.
A
But that's
fully
just
British podcast.
The new Poundcake. Ooh.
Oh, no, do it.
Yep.
The new Poundcake podcast is coming Wednesday.
He nailed it. He got it.
What's it about? What's it about? Give us a teaser. Like you're gonna put it out.
It's
in
him
your
and
British
Fancy
accent.
talking about
I know,
pride.
No, I want to.
Poundcake and Fancy
Oh.
return to the Poundcake podcast to give them their prideful.
You already lost it.
Yeah. Try again. Start over. Start over.
Shut up, Mary.
You got it.
Poundcake and Fancy return to the Poundcake podcast to talk about their prideful events.
Well, it's pretty good. I mean, it's
Why do you sound like Elon Musk?
Kind of sounds.
there's like an Afrikaner
Yeah.
thing going on there,
Kind
and
of sounds
yeah,
like Stitch.
that's more
Return to the
that's more
podcast.
Joburg than Manchester there. Try it again.
Poundcake and Fancy return to the Poundcake podcast to talk about the Pride Month and their prideful return.
It's probably the best one yet.
Yeah, that
Pretty
was, that
good,
was
yeah.
better.
Mm-hmm. Boy, he's our little Jay Farrow here on the show, isn't
Had
he?
to be
Killing
very
it.
breathy.
Oof. Huh?
Had to be very breathy when I talked.
Breathy. Yeah, okay. Well, okay, good. If you listen to us on the iHeartRadio app, you can always leave us some messages there, too.
Owen and Willoughby again, come on. You guys were talking about like that third or fourth, 87th, whatever R. Kelly show that they're doing. I have a suggestion for some fresh entertainment. Let's take the survivors of R. Kelly and put them on the show Survivor, and then take all the winners from the show Survivor and put them in R. Kelly's sex dungeon. Give that a shot.
You know,
Oh, okay.
that's not too far off, though, because MTV, whenever you do like Real World or Road Rules, they always put you in like one of the challenges. Why don't they do that with all these like Lifetime original movie people, like 600-pound sister or the
What, make him climb a rope?
6,000-pound sister? Yeah, like to have them do like
6,000-pound sister.
what is it? 1,000-pound sister.
1,000-pound
Yes,
sisters.
or my 600-pound life.
Yeah, like all those people from My 600-Pound Life and 1,000-Pound Sisters.
By the way, did anybody know that Survivor is still on television?
I did not
Yes,
know
I
that.
knew.
They got a winner last night. The 44th season of Survivor.
Is it the hot guy?
I don't know. It's Jam Jam, a 31-year-old salon owner from Puerto Rico.
No.
Jam Jam. 4 votes Jam Jam. 1 vote Heidi. The winner of Survivor 44. Jam Jam.
One of the 3 misfits on the show won $1 million there. I had no clue that Survivor was
Is it
still
the same
on.
host?
Jeff Probst.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing
Is he like 70?
They're
How
doing
old is
well,
that guy?
he's older, but he's in good shape, boy.
Yeah.
They're doing a casting called Puddin' Bay.
I
Let's
know.
go.
I saw that.
In like 2
Let's
weeks.
Go. Let's go show trip.
I had no idea that Survivor was still on. I think I
I'll watch
watched
Survivor.
the first 2 seasons of Survivor. Like Richard Hatch, the guy that ended up going to jail because he didn't pay taxes on it. Yeah, Survivor
June 15th,
is
noon
looking
to 4.
for contestants for the 47th season. So they're going ahead. They've already got
$1 million is not enough for that show.
I still haven't watched
$1
a
million.
single
Is a,
episode.
what are you talking
I
about?
couldn't do that. Like
You couldn't do Survivor for the chance at $1 million?
they're gonna have me on a beach and like with a bunch of tarantulas and spiders and stuff. No, I'm not laying out there.
All right.
Hell no.
What day of the week is June 15th?
June
It's a
15th.
Thursday.
At the Boardwalk and the Keys, 2 locations at Put-in-Bay from noon to 4.
I'll go. Can I have that day off?
You go.
To go audition
You can have
for
whatever day off you
Survivor?
want. I mean, if you want to get out there.
There's a super hot guy on there. He was like 21 or something like that, and he works for NASA. He actually works for NASA, Bill.
I don't work there. I just shop there.
I know. But I wanted him to win because he's Twinkie, but he didn't win.
Burp. Well, there you go. I mean, yeah, I had no idea that Survivor was even on, but they got their Cycle 44 winner last night, a new $1 million winner.
You think
And-
people would want to watch me cry on TV?
Yeah, Channel 19 is going to be hosting the whole
Mary,
thing out there.
I actually think you would do a good job because people who grew up on like the fringes of life, like you've lived in a hoarder house.
You're a scrapper.
They
Yeah.
love a good storyline. First off, you're like, I came from nothing. I had rats and
Yes.
I was
Dude,
poor.
do you understand? I have the best sob story.
My
in
dad died
AGT.
from COVID.
My dad died from COVID. I'm a recovering addict. I lived in a hoarder house.
You're gonna win,
Like
dude.
I have all these things. Stand-up
You mean for
comedian,
Survivor?
radio personality.
Yes, they love them.
They
They
love sob
need a
stories.
narrative.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Oh.
I overcame it all, Alan, and now I'll dig in the sand.
Yeah, but you're not going to be the only person with a dead parent from COVID story.
I know.
But Mary's gonna be washing her Invisalign in the
But she's
ocean.
the only one that-
She's like, "Mate, I
She's going to get that brain-eating amoeba that's showing up in the northern states here. Do you read about that? Holy
No.
cow.
She's like-
Keep your head above the water, Ohioans. They're finding a brain-eating amoeba in Ohio and Michigan and
Jokes on them. They ain't got nothing left to eat for me.
Pennsylvania.
Dude, this says that the time commitment is only 46 days.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was shorter than that. I thought it was only a month.
Nah, it says
I
about
didn't know.
6 weeks.
You have
Yeah,
to be
46 days.
And you can be 16 or older.
That's crazy.
You can be 16 on Survivor. Oh. I mean, what have you really survived in 16 years? But yeah, man, I had no idea that show was even on. And then I see they're doing a contestant search.
Well, they're still doing Big Brother. Only reason why I knew that was because they did Celebrity Big Brother with like Todrick, and I watched like the clips of that.
Todrick.
Nimrod and Nimtod. Okay. Todrick. Well, anyway, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is trying to get on the 47th cycle of Survivor, June 15th, out at Put-in-Bay from noon to 4. You fill out a thing, and the producers grab all those up, and they look them over, and maybe you'll get on Survivor. Hi, I'm from Ohio, and my dad died from COVID, and I have a shellfish allergy. I hope that doesn't preclude me from being on a island show.
Pacific Island show. Tonight we are eating crab. I'll eat the
you're
tapioca, I guess.
Just because my face blew up, I hope that doesn't.
Can I have vegan? You're in there like, we're on Survivor, but yeah, I still need vegan and plant-based
Vegan
products.
Survivor. Everybody's too pale and
too
sallow to. All right, I got to take a break here. If you want to send a text, 35192, I will have Paramore tickets for you. They're doing that show at the Romo Fijo with Block Party, so if you want to